Hi, welcome to 40 Prey, podcast by a couple of 30-something dudes whose adult lives and responsibilities have not yet eclipsed their zeal for stupid, nerdy shit. From Warhammer 40k to video games, comic books, to IHOP menus, items.
It's true.
If it's your fandom, we're your tandem. How's it going? I'm Tom, Tommy Bones, joined by Ben, LSD.
Tom, I love a good IHOP menu. You know, they have that rotating menu that changes every month for like, it used to be like $4 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit that there was a point where my parents and I were eating that at least once a week.
The biggest, most decadent pancakes you could imagine.
You want extra corn syrup with your pancakes? Yes, I do. Do you even need to ask?
Trace Leche's pancakes, of course.
Trace Leche's pancakes. Trace Leche's pancakes with extra sugar. So did I ever tell you the story? There was one time when I was in like either middle or high school where my mom like took a vacation or something for a couple days. And my dad took us to Denny's 3 nights in a row for dinner because they had the $2.99 Grand Slam, and he was like, I don't have to cook. And like by day 3, I felt, even as a kid, I felt like garbage.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, like I remember as a kid, like being like, I feel like oil's coming out of my pores. So oh, you know what? I'm not even talking to my microphone. Could you even hear anything I was saying?
You were a little echoey, but I got you.
This is the like somebody criticized us on YouTube because we don't do like 1080, we do 720, and now I'm not even talking to my goddamn microphone like a freaking noob.
It's a high class operation here.
Well, we eat at Denny's, so that's what if you want people that eat at like I don't know what's like a nicer like Cracker Barrel even, right? Go to a different. Although I love Cracker Barrel, go to a different podcast. We're the Denny's crew.
Remember the first time I went to Denny's? It was some kind of omelet just smothered in cheese. It was just the most goddamn unhealthy thing I've ever eaten.
But it was really good. I mean, in the moment, it probably wasn't really good later.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I hated myself.
I mean, I hate myself every day. So, you know, hey, you know what's fun? We got some news. What are we
Speaking of self-loathing?
Speaking of self-loathing, we're talking about Space Marine 2. The trailer came out. It was such a big deal. I pulled us together for the first time in a month to record a show.
Right.
And you haven't seen the trailer yet.
I have not. Yeah, I wanted to.
But, so we're about to do a Tom reaction video.
As interesting as that will be.
Tom reacts. That'll be the
some random dude watching a trailer for a video game.
Some random dude with great hair. Before we jump into that, you actually just told me something pretty cool. The rumor that I know if that's what people probably are going to tune in for, but you got to wait, guys. Delayed gratification. Rumor that there's new Chaos models coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's true, but and I think the article is fairly old at this point, but I just found it. World Leaders, Angron and World Leaders might be getting their own codex the beginning of the next year, before the Chaos Marines codex drops. So, I mean, it's not Emperor's Children, but I'll probably buy every single model in that line.
I do love World Leaders, yeah. I do. Angron, the more I read about him, the more I find him kind of interesting. But like when I was, I just loved the Court Berserkers. I always have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely buy some too. So that's exciting. And then have you been seeing the Games Workshop's releasing like a sneak preview advent calendar with like a ton of very clearly Eldar hints?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I think one of them, the gems had eyes inside of them, and it was very purple. It was definitely had a Slaneshi feel.
That's super cool. I do think it's funny. So, you know, we start the show by saying we're guys in our mid-30s. Those Eldar models are as old as we are.
Yeah.
So the idea that they're actually going to update them is
Aspect
not all
Warriors.
of them. I guess they did like Dark Reapers in like the early 2000s. Anyway, whatever.
Right. I think it's Aspect Warriors, everybody. Right?
As I've seen some Aspect Warriors. I've seen some maybe Guardian stuff, maybe a Phoenix Lord. I don't know. I'm not an Eldar expert. I'm guy who goes to Denny's 3 times in a row. All right, should we roll the clip? So Tom, what do you know so far about Space Marine 2? What have you read?
From one great segue to another.
That's what we're known for. In post, I can add one of those sound effects, or whatever.
I've actually been out of the loop. If you sent me the
don't look at anything.
No, you sent me a text. Hey, there's going to be a new Space Marine game.
All right,
and that's as much as I've heard.
All right, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. The trailer, that is. I'm pretty excited, and after we watch it, I want to see what details you pick up on, because there's a lot of detail that is demonstrative that whoever I think it's like Saber Games is putting this together spent a lot of time and attention with the lore, and I was super proud of some of the stuff I picked up on, and I was telling Gabrielle after the fact. I was like, I'll explain later, but basically I want to compare what you pick up on versus what I did, and just see your natural reaction. But one more question: did you play the original game?
No.
So I played it about a year and a half ago, like recently, and it's fine. I think it was probably a little bit better when it came out in like 2011, because things have come a little bit since then, but a little repetitive. Some of the mechanics weren't perfect, but it was a solid B, B plus if you're a Warhammer fan. Like great graphics, cool characters, some fun moments. So let's see. Without that, should I roll it?
Christmas wrapping paper in the back.
Oh, is that what's I actually noticed? Yeah. So you guys are clearly getting ready, having 2 kids. Oh, this is going to be your daughter's first Christmas.
Yeah, she's not going to remember it. She's three months old.
All right. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Let me make sure you can hear this. Here we go. You can hear? Okay. So right away, this looks a little like Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was making a joke. Clearly, it did not go over. Okay. All right. So back to the video. Sorry, Tom. I also kind of just want to like stop at intermissions as I kind of like gauge your reaction.
Company command! This is first platoon! We've lost the square! We can't hold it!
Any thoughts yet?
Cool.
So far, so good. Look at the detail on this, man. Like, I know this is a cinematic, so it's obviously that in-game engine.
Yeah.
But just the dirt, everything, clearly a lot of effort went in. I do think it's funny how big this guy's hat looks on his head.
Right. That's got to protect him. 4th platoon, does that mean anything? Is that a reference? As a guard player, I should know.
So that I don't know about, but so just looking at this person, what else can you tell me about this person?
He is covered in blood.
He's covered in blood. Is there a particular like part of the Astra Militarum he might be from?
Yeah.
So I didn't pick up on it either. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the best format for this, because if we just watch the whole thing, people at home are going to be like, "What the heck is this?" So, and as it is, this is probably not the best listening material. But basically, we're looking at an Imperial Guardsman right now. If you're on the podcast part, and I think he's wearing a Cadian outfit.
Looks Cadian.
But I like, how like kind of the Cadians were just like the standard Imperial Guard kit that's been around for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really sure, is it just a generic guardsman or is it a Cadian? But somebody pointed out, if you look closely, he's got purple eyes, which in, I want to say the first Heretic, the book, they point out that all Cadians, if they're born on Cadia, have purple eyes.
Yeah.
So that I did not notice that my first run through, but something did.
There were, a number of Cadians that escaped the destruction of the planet.
That's true. That's true, and I don't think. Well, I won't. We don't know exactly what timeline this is coming in, but
Right.
anyway. All right, should I keep going?
Yes.
All right. So if at home, if you're listening on the podcast, you'll hear
No,
some
let's stop
shooting
it right
and
here.
stuff. Yeah. But basically, so far so good. Go watch this trailer if you haven't. All right, here we go. All right, we'll stop there again. So for those at home listening, not watching on YouTube, we just saw 3 Ultramarines jump out of a Thunderhawk. They were not, interestingly, they were not wearing seatbelts or anything. They just kind of jumped. I'm not sure if that's the safety protocol.
A captain, a lieutenant, and that guy.
All right, what else? So there's some things I did not pick up on that have already come up that I've since read about. So let me pause just to see, notice anything here. So you said there's a captain, lieutenant, and just a guy.
He might be a character.
So I think red helmet equals sergeant. And if you remember, like this,
Sergeant, yeah, that's what I meant.
And then this guy's a lieutenant because that is the Primaris Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Like, so they made Primaris Lieutenant the game. So if you're like me, the first time you saw this, you're like, haha, okay, Games Workshop, you made Primaris Lieutenant the video game. But he does look pretty sweet, right?
There are plenty of Primaris Lieutenant helmets on bases of my model.
So you should recognize him with the little stripy thing with the red and the white.
Yeah, he is a lieutenant.
All right, is there anything else you notice right away from these 3 figures?
Just in general?
Yeah, so there's one more detail I did not pick up on that's kind of interesting. And I'm not gonna spoil it. If you don't figure it out, we'll keep going and see if it comes up later. By the way, this is how nerdy I am, and we are, like, as a community. Like, the fact that people picked up on these like little tiny things, and more about like iconography and uniforms and power armor marks, it's hilarious to me. I wish I was this passionate about something that would actually generate money for me. All right,
so the trim around the pauldron is getting me. Is it normally gold?
With Ultramarines, I don't know. That's not the thing I was thinking of, but I'm not sure. What is it usually, white?
I don't know if there is one at all.
So that could be a thing. All right, so let's keep watching for a bit. So if you're at home, again, we're looking at 3 Ultramarines. One of them has got a chainsword, and the other 2, they're all apparently Primaris, and the other 2 have bolt rifles. All right, here we go. And then we were in a square. We saw some Tyranids. There's a Tyranid warrior.
The stalker pattern, and
that's a good point too. I didn't even think about their bolt. Yeah, he's got a scope on it, which means maybe it's the stalker. Good point.
I don't know what the drum magazine. I forgot what that one's called.
I don't remember what that one called either. I did think it was interesting. So all the Tyranids were in like kind of the white and purple color scheme, which would tell us which fleet they're from, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember.
White and purple.
Tyranid, I think, is that Behemoth? Let's see, which High Fleet is, I think it's Leviathan. That would actually tell us like when this is occurring too.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's High Fleet Leviathan. All right. Whew, a lot of nerd stuff happening here. All right. Let's watch 25 more seconds. Here we go. What did you find? Ready? So I don't think any specific details there, but some cool chopping of gaunts and shooting them. And then, of course, we saw the guard's face, which is purple eyes.
Mhm.
Anything else to double click on there?
The warrior with bone swords.
Yeah, he's just like that's why he looks just like the one I have that I made. They Max Mind him. He's got the bone swords. Best weapon option. So he took out the gaunts, goes up to the warrior. They trade a couple blows. He locks him in with his chainsword and then whips out his pistol, shoots him in the gut. While the thing is down, he eviscerates it, and then he, with his left hand, just rips off its head. Pretty badass.
Like you do.
Like you do. All right, so far we know he's a Primaris Lieutenant. I think a lot of us were like, Ultramarines Primaris Lieutenant. How you feeling now, Tom?
I'm checking out the background to get a feel for the environment.
It's a good point. You notice anything?
It's definitely Imperialis.
Definitely Imperialis. And because I think you actually have this scenery piece, don't you? The like statue with the sword.
Yeah, that was my first attempt at heavy weathering. He's just a rusted out hunk of iron covered in snow.
No snow here, Tom. Anything else you notice about the Ultramarine yet? The Primaris Lieutenant.
He has a Night Lord's logo on it.
Ave Dominus Nox. It's actually a good point. I haven't looked at the iconography. It looks like it's a skull with some kind of like burst or star pattern behind it.
If you squint, it looks like Red Wing.
It does look a little bit, yeah. So the thing that I didn't pick up on is you see the chains on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a Black Templar thing.
Ah.
So I think in the lore, I know Karn has that, but I think Karn has it because so either he adopted it from the Black Templars or the Black Templars adopted it from the World Eaters, but they absolutely do chain their weapons to their arms.
Yeah.
So Ultramarines do not, which tells us that this person was either in the Death Watch or did a stint with the Black Templars.
Yeah, that's true. The Death Watch, when they return back to their chapter, a lot of them will keep the Death Watch pauldron, but not always. Some of them don't.
And that was a big source of debate on the Reddit thread. It's like, I like how you haven't seen this or read anything, but you're like, well, sometimes they have the Death Watch pauldron, but sometimes that was the exact thread I was looking at. Which I think is super funny how much we know about the armor. Our esoteric nerd lore. I was telling this again to Gabrielle, and I was like, is it weird that I know, like, by helmet pattern, which kind of armor this fictitious thing has?
The vents on the side. It's
I don't know. I was having an existential crisis. All right, anyway.
He's also slightly taller than Right Color Space Marine.
That's true, yes. He's like 8 feet instead of 7 feet. And he has several different organs in addition to the usual.
Right.
Which I don't remember what the organs are, but they're cool, I guess.
So is there ever, you made me think, is there ever like an explicit use or like as a Black Library author, or has it ever come up that they have acid spit? Like, is that ever used for anything?
Acid spit, the times I've seen it once. I don't remember the book, so I can't cite it, but there was once where somebody spit through like handcuffs. But more often it's, and there was another time where I think somebody spit into like an alien's face to like distract them. The rest of the time, it's just them, they get angry and then the spit catches in their mouth and they spit it on like a deck platform.
Because they can't be wearing a helmet at that point, right?
I guess.
Unless they could spit through the mouth piece.
Yeah. I feel like if the Emperor was like designing all the organs, that one was just probably someone's like, come on, let's put the spit in. He's like, no, Gary. Come on, let's do the spit. Fine, Gary. Just shut up about it, okay? I'll put it in.
I've got this extra organ that makes their spit acid.
Yeah, originally it was going to be for their piss was going to be acid, but we couldn't figure out a way to make that one useful.
I had the plans upside down. We ended up putting it in his mouth.
That's actually really funny. I don't know why that got me, but it did. All right.
I don't either.
I don't either. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, we got about a minute left. If they're just casually walk by, shooting the ones that are left. Bolter's still loud. You feel good. Lawrence kneels in front of the Space Marines.
Those angels.
There's the purple ones. The helmet is being removed from the Primaris Lieutenant. All right, so Tom, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is the character, the protagonist of Space Marine in 2011, Captain Titus.
Yeah.
And I know you're not familiar with the game, so Titus, decent protagonist, but I think in part what made people like him even more, there were several times through the course of that game where he was exposed to chaos and was able to kind of fight against it and overcome it. And as a result, his like second, this guy named Leandros, was constantly second guessing him and saying like, but that's not what the codex says.
Yeah.
And at the very end, Leandros, who's been a naysayer this entire time, despite Titus like saving the day and being a huge bro, calls the Inquisition on him. So at the end, Titus is carted away by the Inquisition with some Black Templars in tow for being exposed to chaos. And the threat is, if you don't come with us, we're going to kill all these like Astra Militarum soldiers you've been working with. And that was it. Like the game ended there. And that was 10 years ago. And it was a cliffhanger. And then I guess the studio that was producing it went under. And we thought that was the last we'd ever see of Titus.
Right.
So that's a little bit, by the way, if you see all those memes about Leandros, you really watch like a YouTube summary of the game, because there's a whole Reddit thread that's recently gone inactive that's like fuck Leandros or something. He's a real chump. All right, but what else do you notice about our boy's face here?
Well, obviously the metal in his forehead. And I think that has something to do with years of service.
Oh my God, I didn't notice that. So you picked up on it, but that was another like giveaway that a lot of people in Reddit were going over. So apparently a gold,
like different shapes, right?
It's the metals. It's a service stud.
Yeah.
So a gold one indicates 100 years of service. So in the previous game, he had 2 of them, and now he's got 4 of them.
Yeah.
So 200 years have gone by-ish since the last game. Super subtle nod to fans. I thought that was a super cool way to tell us like when it was.
Right.
The other thing, he was a captain in the first game, and now he's clearly a lieutenant, so he got downgraded. And in general, he just was kind of pissed.
Right. Scars.
So again, a lot of memes like, "Oh, you made a Primaris Lieutenant game? Oh, it's Titus? Yeah, that's fine. Great."
I take back my original statement.
Oh, and he's a Night Lord now. All right, here we got about 20 seconds left. We'll go through. Still has a great hairline for 400 years old.
Right.
It's a game bridge. So, all right, that was the trailer. What'd you think?
Super cool. Not a lot of gameplay, but it tells a story. Right. Gets you hooked.
And again, just like a lot of little nooks and crannies to give you some hints about what's going on.
Like an English muffin.
So one thought I had, you know how they made this big deal about like if you become a Primaris, like it's really traumatic and most of them die.
Mhm.
Can I have one example of somebody dying from it?
Survivor's bias. You don't hear about the ones that die.
I guess, but it's like every well, not every, many major characters, like, so I think Mephiston and Kalgar and one of the White Scars, like they all undergo it and then they're fine. You know, show me a main character that dies and I'll feel better about it. So, although I think in the fluff they said that Belisarius' call apparently improved the procedure over the hundreds of years since it started. So,
actually, Spear of the Emperor by ADB, without any spoilers, one of the characters needs to cross the Rubicon in order to save his life. But they're in the Imperium Nihilus, so they don't really know how to, like, they got the instructions how to create Primaris Marines, but like, just basically like, here's the steps, and like, no actual formal training. So like, we don't know if this is gonna work, but let's give it a shot. Yeah. Well, obviously, otherwise.
plot armor.
Yeah.
I also was it. Yeah, you like that one, right?
Yeah. Still wait. Well, as far as I know, the second one is done or almost done. I'm just waiting for, because he's got like so many projects.
Good author,
simultaneously.
He does good shit.
Yeah.
My other problem with the Primaris thing, cross the Rubicon, it's like a metaphor for taking an irrevocable step, right? So I actually wanted to cross-verify this with Wikipedia because I was afraid I was misremembering, but the Rubicon's a river, and basically it refers to like Caesar. If you cross the river, it meant there was no going back. I'm not sure that a reference would make a lot of sense in the 42nd millennium when Earth hasn't had any water for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
That's all I want to complain about. There's no better takeaway. So
would the language survive that long?
Well, I mean, it probably would. I don't know. They have a lot of like modern, like our modern contemporary metaphors that roll into things. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have stories of like Satan.
That's right. And Carrot Top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there's a statue of Gary Coleman at some point.
Yeah. Prop comedy. It's huge in the 42nd millennium.
That's right. Whose line is it anyway? 40,000.
Right. Pillsbury toaster strudels.
Yeah, those are actually still a thing, right?
Yeah.
They're just made out of corpse starch.
But they come with a little packet of frosting. So it's a little more palatable.
But the mascot's gone because he was a heretic.
Yeah. He was put to the blade.
Or they ate him because there wasn't enough food to go around. Ew, oh God. Well, so I'm probably gonna buy this game. I don't know if I'm gonna pre-order it because I want to make sure it's not crap, and I don't trust their Games Workshop. But not that they're making the game, but they licensed to some not that great developers in the past. So I'm gonna see what it's like. But I'm probably gonna buy it. The other what else? The other thing we never got a chance to talk because we've been AWOL for so long. Have you seen all the postings by Henry Cavill about Warhammer stuff?
Yeah, he was on what, Graham Norton?
Yeah,
that was funny.
And Graham Norton gave him shit about quote playing with little toy men or something.
Do you play World of Warcraft? Just like a disappointed father, like, it's Warhammer.
Warhammer, Graham. Then meanwhile, I think Tom Holland was on that same show and was like, "Oh, I'll play with it." Mm-hmm. So that was cool. He also posted a picture of him on the set of The Witcher, and he said, "Oh, I look a little bit like the Emperor, maybe like Neoth, circa like 10,000 BC," which is a deep cut reference to the Emperor's possible original name.
And I know The army he plays is well known. I just can't think of it.
Custodes.
Custodes.
Because that's all he can afford, even on his salary is, fewer models.
You have to be a high-powered Hollywood actor in order to have a full-size army.
There was a joke about like he had to take on another role just to get the new codex. I was also anything else we wanted to talk about in the Warhammer world, or anything to catch up on. Otherwise, we talk a little bit about the future of our show here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we're on that part of the show, which it seems we are, no rehearsal whatsoever, guys. We just jumped on. We are probably going to. This will probably be the last episode of 40 Cray, maybe. We're probably going to rebrand it, maybe.
Season 1.
Season 1 is officially. We'll say this is the end of season 1, unless we get bored and something comes up that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But we're currently working on a new program, which is going to involve our spouses.
Yeah.
Some improv comedy.
And prop comedy.
Prop comedy. And probably the fate of the world will be at stake with some kind of role-playing element there too.
Should be fun. Still ironing out the details.
Yeah. I'm excited. We had a breakthrough today before we're going to reveal what it was, but we were trying to figure out how to do a certain thing with it, because it's like there's a lot of shows out there that do role-playing and do commentary like what we do, so we're trying to get how do we make it a little different. And I think we came up with something kind of fun.
Yeah.
No pants. That was the takeaway.
Yeah. Pantsless RPG.
That's right. PRPG. Because it's a podcast that really wouldn't have much impact on anybody.
From here up.
Yeah, from here up. Yeah, you're listening in the car like, oh, I guess just knowing that they're not wearing pants that's interesting. It doesn't really add any value. Yeah, that's
use your imagination.
Which is what you do in role playing anyway. But with that, I think that brings us to the end of this one. As always, like and subscribe, even though we're going to rebrand it.
Like and subscribe to no videos coming out anymore.
maybe we keep. I don't know. I'll figure out a way to make it so the channel stays the same. I don't know how technology works, but I think we can do that.
Yeah. And we have to switch to 1080p.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to try for this one. I'll try because people were giving me like, it looks so bad. It's not that it looks bad. It's we look bad. I don't want 1080p because I don't want you to see how bad my skin is.
It's nothing to do with the resolution.
Yeah, I'd put it low so if it's grainy, you can't tell that I'm actually some kind of alien wearing a human mask.
If you look closely, I'm actually a highly organized swarm of bees.
I'm 3 kids in a trench coat. Getting into a rated R movie.
Hello, fellow adult.
I would like to purchase this newspaper. 1
alcoholic beverage, please.
All right, with that, good fight, good night.
You're going to space camp.
Suck it.
And also for the Vallarta
End transmission.